Hi, in this video we'll go through an EDEXCEL A-level business paper. Paper 1. Marketing People and Global Businesses. Practicing past papers is a key element to exam success, so it's great that you're here. We'll be working at a good pace in this video, so do pause the video when you feel the need to. So grab a pen and paper and work through the paper with me. Do also check out these videos as they may be of importance to you. I will put the link to them in the description box, as well as some free resources. Section A. We're starting off with a 4-mark question here in Section A, which is pretty much the norm for Paper 1 and Paper 2. And it's a calculation question. Using the data in Extract A, calculate the percentage increase in the hourly wage that Tesco would have to pay its staff to match Aldi's. State your answer to 2 decimal places. So you can pause the video now and give this question a go. Let's take a look at the answer. So to gain your knowledge mark, you should have included the difference in hourly wage rate between Aldi and Tesco, which is Aldi and you deduct the Tesco wage. For application, they're looking for the difference in hourly wage, which is £8.85 minus £8.02, which equals 83 pence. So the £8.02 with a 10.35% increase, which equals £8.85. And then you need to calculate the percentage change, which is 83p divided by £8.02 times by 100. And that gives you the answer of 10.35%. And they did specifically ask for 2 decimal places, so do ensure that you put that when required. Next question. Extract B. Jack's is launched. Tesco, Britain's biggest supermarket chain, is preparing to launch Jack's, its own brand of discount stores. Tesco aims to take on the German discounters Aldi and Lidl that have both been increasing their market share in the UK. Tesco is keen to emphasise Jack's Britishness. Advertising highlights that 8 out of 10 products available in Jack's are grown, reared or made in Britain, which it claims is a higher proportion than at any other grocer. The intention is for Jack's also to be the cheapest in town, said David Lewis, Tesco's chief executive. The large scale of Tesco and the lower operating cost of Jack's allows us to be cheaper. The layout of each Jack's store has taken inspiration from Aldi and Lidl. For instance, in the centre is a promotion section consisting of 24 baskets and 48 products offered on a when it's gone basis, similar to weekly offers found in Lidl. All advertising will be done locally using leaflets with promotions tailored to the local community. And the question is, explain one business objective Tesco might be aiming to achieve by launching its Jack's stores. So you can pause the video now and give this question a go. Let's take a look at the answer. So for the knowledge mark, you may have put a business objective is a specific goal. Or you might have written profit maximization is an example of a business objective, or any other acceptable definition or response there. For application, remember you need 2 references to the case study. One could have been increase market share by being cheapest, or you might have written sales maximization by when it's gone, sales offer. For analysis, when we look at the reason, the cause, the consequence, you might have put Tesco is aiming to increase its market share by targeting customers who are price sensitive and have been shopping at Lidl and Aldi due to their budget prices. For the 10-mark question, you're asked to assess the likely benefits to Jack's if it only advertises locally using leaflets. So you can pause the video and give this question a go. The answer. Advertising is paid for communication used by a business to raise customer awareness of its products, services and brands. Advertising locally via leaflets saves Jack's money as there are lower production and distribution costs compared to advertising nationally via media such as TV or national papers. Or advertising locally with offers tailored to the local community is likely to be more effective, as it should meet the needs of its customers. For the 10 marker, here are some possible answers that you might have written. Advertising is paid for communication used by a business to raise customer awareness of its products, services, and brands. You might have also put, advertising locally via leaflets saves Jack's money, as there are lower production and distribution costs compared to advertising nationally via media such as TV or national papers. Another point is, advertising locally with offers tailored to the local community is likely to be more effective, as it should meet the needs of its customers, for example, local tastes and trends in food and drinks. Now for the 10 marker, we need to have the counterbalance. You need to be able to look at the other side. You need to be able to evaluate it. So you might have put, advertising via leaflets might not be particularly effective, as they are easily ignored and therefore do not last in customers' memories. Or, leaflets might be promoting groceries customers aren't interested in, while some of them are selling things they would not buy, or they're difficult to get. You also need to, for the 10 marker, have a potential judgment. For a business trying to keep its costs to a minimum, a low-cost advertising technique seems sensible. For a new brand and concept for Tesco, this type of advertising may not attract enough customers to the new Jack's store. Another point is, Jack's could advertise locally via other media, such as billboards, as used by Aldi and Lidl, instead of leaflets. Now, if you want to see an example of a 10-mark question and answer, do check out the link to the video below. Do remember to like, share, and subscribe, as I do post regularly. Extract C, working at Aldi. Aldi staff mentioned work-life balance in about 200 employee reviews completed worldwide. Long hours were also mentioned in 110 reviews. One anonymous employee said, Aldi is pushing staff to work harder and longer. The company will push you until you injure yourself or quit from exhaustion, he said. His claims were supported by a store manager. As a manager, I work my socks off with no reward or praise, even after 11 years of service, he said. Money, money, and money. These are the only benefits for working for this company that does not think or care about managers like me, who may prefer a bigger say in the way Aldi operates. Another store manager said that Aldi's leadership culture is built on threats and pressure, and area managers would benefit from listening skills to appreciate the problems we face. Despite negative reviews, some employees praised Aldi for its great pay and benefits, serious responsibility, unparalleled learning experience, great car, good pay, an area manager commented. The 12-mark question is, assess the likely impact on Aldi's recruitment and selection costs if staff choose to leave due to poor working conditions. Let's take a look at the mark scheme. Working conditions are the physical surroundings and the atmosphere of the workplace and the way staff are treated by managers. Unhappy staff will lack motivation, and therefore productivity and customer service may suffer, leading to higher costs for Aldi, such as more staff being needed. A high number of unhappy staff could lead to them leaving, which could add to Aldi's recruitment costs, such as advertising new posts, such as the cashiers or store managers. Now, the counterbalance for that, when you'd bring in words such as however or on the other hand, you could mention Aldi supermarket staff are likely to be low skilled, and there are therefore enough potential workers in the community to replace those that leave. Another point might be, Aldi supermarkets may not require large numbers of staff in each store, so those leaving may be easily replaced due to the relatively high wages on offer. And another point could be, staff leaving may provide an opportunity for Aldi to recruit new staff who are willing and able to tolerate the pressure of working long hours. And your potential judgment at the end could be, staff leaving will impose costs on Aldi as they need to be replaced. The Aldi model relies on low costs to be able to offer low prices to customers. Another point is, Aldi might not have to face increased costs, as there is no evidence that workers are actually leaving, even though they might have complaints about the working hours. our next question. Our first 20-mark question in the paper. To improve customer satisfaction, Audi has identified the need to focus on employee performance. This could be achieved by Audi focusing on financial incentives or non-financial techniques. Evaluate these two options and recommend which one Audi should use to improve customer satisfaction. So we have the extracts here if you want to pause the video and start working on the 20 marker so you can include your application as well. I'm going to show the answer now. Now this question very much requires you to focus on motivational theories. So when it comes to anything to do with money, you should be thinking about Taylor. And there's other aspects here where you could introduce Herzberg and Maslow as well. So do ensure that when you're going to write this up that you've got the motivational theorists that you could actually mention and apply. And the focus really is for the 20 marker to give time to evaluating the options, but also the recommendation. Try and give time and effort to the recommendation in order to access the highest marks. On to the answer. Let's focus on option 1 first, which is financial incentives. So for option 1, financial incentives, you might have written that Audi's basic hourly wage, £8.85, is the highest of all supermarkets, as shown in extract A. Audi staff are paid well, which may help to make the long working hours worthwhile. F.W. Taylor, motivational theorist, explained the importance of money as a motivator, particularly for jobs that can be broken down into a series of simple tasks. Supermarket checkout work could fit with this approach, which could enhance customer satisfaction. Another point could be good pay helps to satisfy the basic needs identified in Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So good pay may increase satisfaction of workers' motivation and therefore their level of customer satisfaction. As well as basic pay, Audi could offer performance bonuses for staff linked to customer service and feedback, which may help customer satisfaction. As Audi expands, profit share could be offered to managers at Audi so that they may have the incentive to promote customer satisfaction. If sales increase due to improved experience of customers, then profit could increase too. You would also need to include evaluation points for option 1. Do ensure that you evaluate the options. One way that you could think of, or one point to evaluate option 1 could be that if Audi are focusing on employee performance and financial incentives for option 1, then that does mean that there's going to be increased costs and that would reduce Audi's profitability. Now on to option 2, where you could mention working conditions, and that's where you could bring in Herzberg's hygiene factor, and particularly working hours are affecting some employees, because remember option 2 is focusing on the non-financial techniques. Improving these working conditions could make staff more motivated and therefore help customers more effectively. Another point is, some managers comment on fringe benefits such as company cars, which are valued. Extending such perks to other managers could improve their motivation and therefore effectiveness in managing staff who work directly with customers in store. Another point is that working conditions could be improved by flexible working. As Audi stores are open for long time periods, a wider range of staff could be organised in teams to cover the opening hours. Staff are likely to be more refreshed and therefore able to serve customers effectively. When it comes to evaluating option 2, you could consider points such as it might take some time to implement certain non-financial techniques within the business. So that could be a disadvantage as well. There are others too. After evaluating both options, financial incentives or non-financial techniques, you need to then make a recommendation which one you are choosing and justify why, and also include terms such as it depends on, and choose the most important factor. However, let's focus on one of the points that you might have included if you have recommended financial incentives. Working for Audi is likely to be simply a source of income for many workers, so financial incentives such as bonuses or performance-related pay might motivate them further. If the performance-related pay is linked specifically to customer satisfaction reviews, this could be effective. However, the financial incentives offered will depend on the level of employee. A store manager may respond more favourably to promotion prospects or share options. Now, if we chose the non-financial techniques, you might want to include something like this. Aldi staff suggest that non-financial techniques are a priority because despite the highest hourly wage, some are unhappy. Using techniques such as job rotation, for example, working in different product sections, could improve staff motivation and widen staff experiences in the store. This experience could help to improve customer satisfaction, as staff may be more knowledgeable in addressing queries. Now, when it comes to your recommendation, you should always consider MOPs. And when it comes to MOPs, identifying an element in the market, objectives, product, services, or situation, you only need to apply one in your recommendation, your final paragraph, one aspect of MOPs. And this really helps to bring context to your final recommendation. So for the market, you might have, if you chose that one part of MOPs to include in your recommendation, you might have written that Aldi offers the highest hourly wage of all its competitors in the grocery market. Therefore, it may be that non-financial techniques such as employee consultation are more important. Objectives. Aldi's objective of market growth is likely to be driven by low prices for its customers. Non-financial techniques such as job rotation might be more appropriate as they add less financial costs compared to financial methods of motivation such as bonuses. Or if it came to products or services, Aldi relies on a small number of employees in each branch, so motivating them more through non-financial techniques such as consultation may help to improve customer satisfaction directly, as these staff know how to meet the needs of Aldi customers or the situation. Aldi are a successful and growing business in the UK, so employees might respond more positively to financial motivation such as profit share, as this might lead them to feel part of the overall success of the business. So I do recommend practicing these 20 markers, especially under time conditions, and really focusing on your recommendation as well. Section B. Back to another calculation question. In 2019, the price of a Ford Endeavour rose from 30 million rupee to 30.9 million rupee. Using the data and the information from extract D, calculate the percentage change in quantity demanded for the Ford Endeavour in 2019. State your answer to 2 decimal places. Here's the answer. You are encouraged to include the formulas within your answers. So the formula for PED is percentage change in quantity demanded divided by the percentage change in price. And for the application point and showing your workings, you could have put 0.9 divided by 30 times by 100 equals 3. And then you've got minus 2.75 times that by 3. And the answer is 8.25% negative in terms of a change in quantity demanded. On to a 4-mark question. Ride-sharing businesses in India. Ola is an Indian ride-sharing business. Its main competitor is American-owned Uber. Ola's strength is local knowledge. It has always accepted cash payments, while it took Uber nearly 2 years to do the same. Ola's app also supports 9 regional languages for drivers, which is important as only 10% of Indians speak English. Ola offers 3 different services: premium, low cost, and carpooling. Ola's auto rickshaws, which have their own safety standards, are successful in smaller cities where distances are shorter. After its exit from China, Uber said it would divert a significant portion of its planned $1 billion marketing budget to India. This led to calls from Indian markets for government laws to limit investment by non-Indian businesses into the market. In one of Uber's other markets, the USA, a former Uber engineer alleged sexual harassment by her manager, and one of the founders of Uber was caught swearing at an Uber driver. Other questions about Uber's business practices have been raised. Trade unions have requested drivers receive basic rights such as a living wage and unemployment insurance. Uber classifies its drivers as independent contractors, and so they are not eligible for benefits such as overtime and health insurance. Uber's pricing structure has also been criticised. After allegations, it routinely overcharges customers. It was recently sued for not providing enough vehicles accessible to wheelchair users. Question is, explain one way the Indian government might use legislation to protect the Indian ride-sharing market from non-Indian businesses. So you can pause the video now and attempt the question. Here's the answer. For knowledge, you might have included protectionism means policies used by a government to protect domestic businesses by making foreign-owned products less attractive. Or you might have included legislation is a collective name for laws and regulations used by governments to restrict certain activities. Or government legislation as a protectionist measure is when it is framed in such a way that can give an advantage to a domestic business. For application, you might have included, applications are two contexts to the case study. There were calls to limit the level of foreign investment by foreign multinationals into Indian markets. Or safety rules specific to the Indian market, example, those governing auto rickshaws. For analysis, look at the reason, the cause, the consequence. Ride-sharing cannot be protected by tariffs or quotas as it is not a traded product, so legislation is a potential option if the Indian government wanted to protect Ola and similar businesses. A 10 marker. Assess the likely future growth of ride-sharing businesses in an emerging economy such as India. You can pause the video now and attempt the question. Do ensure that you've applied your answer to the extract. Let's take a look at the mark scheme. Well, part of the mark scheme first of all. So we've got GDP per capita in India is growing quickly and therefore consumers may have increased disposable income to spend on ride sharing. You might have put literacy rates are rising, so customers can use the ride sharing apps on their phones easily to connect to these services. Ride sharing markets in developed economies may be saturated, so emerging economies such as India provide businesses like Ola and Uber with an opportunity to grow quickly. Another point is that the number of customers is forecast to be 539.49 million in 2021, so much of this growth is likely to be in emerging markets such as India. And the counterbalance. Large parts of India, especially rural areas, still have high levels of poverty. This can limit the growth of businesses such as ride-sharing. Another disadvantage is that although literacy rates are growing, there is still a huge range of languages in India, which can provide barriers to communication in service business such as ride-sharing. And another point, infrastructure such as the road network, mobile communication, mobile internet may not be reliable enough to support the growth of ride-sharing. Now for the 10 marker, you have to include your potential judgment, so don't forget that. Ride-sharing is likely to continue to grow in a market such as India because it provides a cheap alternative to car ownership for consumers who might have limited disposable income. Another point you might consider is further growth in India depends on incomes and demand for travel in urban areas to continue to grow. If substitute means of transport such as car ownership or public transport grow, then ride-sharing may be limited in growth. Extract G. Ford and Mahindra joint venture. Mahindra, an Indian-based car manufacturer, and Ford has signed a deal to develop a new sports utility vehicle for the Indian market. These will have a Ford body and badge, but will be based on a car chassis frame that will be made by Mahindra. The deal will see Mahindra and Ford cooperate with each other for a period of 3 years, while Ford may gain economies of scale and a lower cost structure from Mahindra's new car chassis. Mahindra will get access to Ford's engineering knowledge. Mahindra will also get support in global emerging markets, including Ford's manufacturing and car distribution network. The managing director of Mahindra Limited said, "Both teams are working together and building on mutual strengths. We're excited about the synergies unveiled through this joint venture and the potential opportunities it will bring." And the question is, assess the likely consequences for Ford of its joint venture with Mahindra. 12 marks. When you're writing this, don't forget your final judgment. Let's take a look at the mark scheme. Well, let's look at part of the mark scheme first. A joint venture may be a one-off or temporary arrangement, or a lasting collaboration in a specific market. In this case, the Ford-Mahindra deal is for 3 years. There is no change of ownership and the relationship between the two businesses will be controlled by legal agreement. Ford is likely to gain increased sales from its joint venture with Mahindra, as they are likely to know the specific needs of the Indian market and have access to workers familiar with this market. Ford may gain economies of scale and a lower cost structure from Mahindra's existing manufacturing plants. Mahindra will get access to Ford engineering knowledge and expertise in sports utility vehicles. As an American brand, Ford may be seen as desirable for aspirational consumers in an emerging market such as India. This is because Ford is associated with the USA and Western lifestyles that are desirable by some consumers in India. However, Ford and Mahindra may have different visions of how the joint venture will work, which can lead to disagreements over business strategy, such as pricing and marketing. Indian consumers may be confused by the two businesses working together, which could limit sales. Mahindra is an established brand in the Indian market, Ford less so their brand strength may be diluted by this arrangement. As a joint venture develops, the aims of Mahindra and Ford might diverge. Mahindra may want to focus on budget sales, while Ford may want to target higher socio-economic groups. Mahindra might benefit from transfer of knowledge of new technology and techniques, so once joint venture ends, it can use this knowledge to compete with Ford. And for the final judgment, you might put, the joint venture is likely to benefit Ford, as it could reduce its manufacturing costs, as Mahindra provides the chassis for the new SUV, enabling Ford to be more price competitive in the Indian market, where incomes are relatively low, so making the cars more affordable so sales may increase. Or, the main consequence of the joint venture is likely to be positive for Mahindra rather than Ford, as it gains sales from the support of the Ford brand and their expertise in selling sports utility vehicles in other markets. This success will depend on the degree to which Mahindra and Ford can agree on the overall strategy for 3 years. Our second 20 marker in the paper, Uber aims to become the market leader in Indian ride-sharing. To achieve this, Uber could either focus on adapting its service to the needs of Indian consumers or improve its business ethics. Evaluate these two options and recommend which one Uber should choose to become market leader. If you need support again with 20 markers, do check out that video, but it would be worthwhile for you to attempt this question. Let's start off with the decision for adapting its products to India, which would mean that they're taking a polycentric approach, so you could even bring in theories such as that. India is the second biggest country in the world by population and therefore home to a diverse range of language groups, customs and tastes. By adapting its service to local needs, such as by recruiting staff that speak each local language fluently, they will reach a wide market and compete effectively with Ola and other Indian businesses. Another point is, Uber has been involved in disputes in some developed markets such as the US, adapting their service to the specific features of Indian cities, such as using appropriate pricing strategies which are likely to attract customers. Another point is the ride-sharing market around the world does not differ between the markets. Therefore, Uber can continue to use the strategies that they have used in the US and UK to grow, including adaptive pricing and up-to-date customer interaction through an app. Another point is Ola has already gained success from adapting by accepting cash, employing drivers that speak different languages and offering auto rickshaw journeys. Uber may need to differentiate themselves in other ways, such as being the most reliable to differentiate their service in India. We know that a polycentric approach has been adopted here, and when we're looking at the disadvantages, you might want to state that there could be a lack of understanding from Uber's perspective of the Indian market. In addition, there might be a barrier to communication between Uber and the drivers. Now let's focus on the second option. The decision for focusing on improving its business ethics. Business ethics are the moral principles that may or may not be used as a basis for decision making. Uber has faced criticism for its treatment of staff and customers in some markets. Getting this aspect right could help to differentiate itself from India competitors such as Ola,
who may have lower ethical standards. Customers who use ride-sharing will want to be confident of the safety of the service they are using. This means that drivers are well rested and paid fairly, rather than simply completing as many jobs as possible. Offering good pay to Uber's drivers in India will allow them to choose from a better caliber of employee and should help to improve the quality of the service. Uber can benefit from more productive drivers that make fewer mistakes and therefore offer a better service to Indian customers. Being ethical may lead to lower costs than adapting its strategy to the Indian market. Indian labour standards and rights may be lower than other markets, so the cost of compliance may be lower too. India may have lower labour standards than Uber's other markets, so this may not be a big issue. Customers may be more concerned with the service being cheap and reliable, as the customers themselves may have limited disposable income or work in areas with questionable business ethics. Now you must have a recommendation, a final judgment, you must have it. Now if we're geared towards option 1, you could put something like the primary concern of customers in the Indian ride-sharing market is likely to be cheap and reliable ride-sharing, so adapting the service is likely to be the most successful. This adaptation could be in terms of making the app and service as reliable and accessible as possible, perhaps by designing an app that works on a less reliable phone network infrastructure. Matching Ola by offering drivers who speak local languages and accepting cash payments may be a good place to begin. If you're leaning more towards option 2, ethics affects the perception of customers, and in a competitive market, Uber might lose more customers to Ola if it does not improve its ethical position. It might also be that, as a Western brand, it can use an ethical stance as a way of differentiating itself from Ola, whose ethical standards may be lower. Ride-sharing is more environmentally friendly than car ownership, for example, so a focus on this may help to attract customers with environmental concerns. Do not forget that you need to add one aspect of MOPS. So it could be in regards to the market. The Indian market is still potentially massive due to its population and as a result very diverse. Adapting the Uber service to the different income levels of Indian consumers might therefore be seen as more important. Objectives: if Uber wants to increase market share in India, adapting to the needs of Indian customers, such as the different language groups, could be a way of attracting new customers quickly. Products. Ride-sharing is a service that requires a high degree of trust between the customer and the driver. Therefore, improving its business ethics may help to attract new customers in the Indian market who want to feel safe when paying for a ride. Situation. Uber is a business operating in a range of different markets. Therefore, they are likely to have experience in adapting their service to the specific market and can bring this experience to India. Most of the ethical questions raised about Uber's approach were in the US and may be less applicable in India. Thank you for watching this video. The next 2 videos that you see on the screen are what YouTube thinks you should watch next.